Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is information about how to write dialogue, how to punctuate it correctly. There are certain rules in the English language that we have to follow, so I'm going to go through those now. This dialogue rule sheet is linked there in that Canvas assignment. So, rule number 1, a direct quotation begins with a capital letter. So like a sentence begins with a capital letter. You see there, Jimmy, capital J, shouted, comma, and then the dialogue starts there within the quotation marks. See you at the game. So the S is capitalized. That's a direct quote from Jimmy. Cindy, direct quote from her. Is it true? The I is capitalized. That's the beginning of a sentence, also the beginning of the quotation mark. So they're having a dialogue because they are conversing amongst themselves as characters in a story. The second one, when a quotation is interrupted into two parts with words like he asked or the teacher demanded, the second part begins with a lowercase letter. These are called tags. You don't need to know that, but dialogue usually isn't itself a sentence. That can be confusing. Now, you are the author of these stories, so you can do that. You have the right, because it's your piece, you're creating it, but we are practicing correct quotation. So normally you have something other than just the dialogue. So for instance, what are some of the things that make school so fun? Is the whole quote here from Mrs. Baskin, but the author included a tag in the middle. Who's speaking? So what are some of the things, comma, Mrs. Baskin inquired, comma, that makes school so fun? So see, the T of the that here is not capitalized because it's a continuation of this first part. That's all one sentence and one idea. It's just interrupted with that tag. And then Sarah also has a tag, so she is introduced. One thing I like is recess, but it's interrupted here. One thing I like, comma, replied Sarah, comma, is recess, and the I does not need to be capitalized because it's a continuation. Alright, rule number 3. When writing dialogue, all punctuation marks at the end of the quotation go inside the quotation marks. So you should have punctuation at the end of a quote, marking that it's the end, other than just the quotation mark. Even if that's the end of the sentence, the punctuation goes inside the quotation mark. This is the same as quotes when you're writing an essay and you're quoting something like research. In America, the punctuation always goes inside. Let's visit the museum, comma, quotation, suggested Samantha. John replied, comma, didn't we go there last weekend? Quotation mark, question mark, quotation mark. So it just goes inside. Alright, rule number 4, do not put a period at the end of a quotation followed by things like she said, mom asked, explained, etc. Use commas, question marks, and exclamation marks, but not periods, and sentences. So it can be confusing if you have my algebra class is driving me crazy, period, Paul yelled, period. Because it looks like it's two different sentences, and like I said before, quotes shouldn't really be, or dialogue shouldn't really be just the sentence. It can be, you have that right, but it's more correct, I guess, grammatically, but you don't have to follow grammar necessarily. Okay, so my algebra class is driving me crazy, and exclamation point, Paul yelled, period. So that period shows that's the end of this whole thought. Or, that's my favorite class, comma, that's the end of her dialogue, but it's not the end of the sentence, so this person just used a comma. Becky replied, period. And then, rule number 5, make a new paragraph indent when a different person begins to speak. So this is what most students mess up on, probably, other than all of the other things. So there would be narration here, like, Kevin walked downstairs, sleepily rubbing at his eyes. So then there's dialogue. So that is technically a new paragraph. It's a one-line paragraph, but that's fine because, remember, these aren't essays, these are stories. So then the next person who's talking is Susie. So you indent and start a new line. So again, Kevin walked downstairs sleepily, rubbing at his eyes. Last night I dreamt that I ate a giant marshmallow, comma, Kevin said, period. So the end of that thought. Then a new thought. Was that anything like the dream you had about eating away through a mountain of fruit cocktail? Asked Susie. So if this was still Kevin talking, you could keep it on the same line because he continues his thought, but it's not. It's Susie. So you start a new paragraph. Again, this paragraph is 2 lines, and that's okay. Scarier, Kevin explained. This time I woke up and my pillow was gone. Haha. Other reminders, always make it clear who is speaking. It can be confusing if you have a bunch of dialogue and we don't know who is saying what. Try to avoid using the word said repeatedly if you've done a said is dead exercise in middle school. It's just more interesting if you can use other words for said, explained, yelled, inquired, other things. Alright, so here is an exercise. Part 1, please read the following piece. You will rewrite it, correcting the dialogue. Remember to start each person's dialogue on a new line. So read through this. You can pause the video. You'll do this on your own document. Figure out who's saying what. I can read it to you one time, but then pause it and do it on your own. I love to go to the movies, Cameron said, but there's nothing good showing at all. I know, Marcy replied. It is crazy how many crappy romantic comedies they churn out. Tell me about it, Cameron exclaimed. If I see one more stupid Kate Hudson, Matthew McConaughey puke fest, I will personally poke my eyes out with an ice pick and perform my own lobotomy. I think that might be a little outrageous, Marcy pointed out, but I can get behind the sentiment. My big beef, though, is the terrible horror movies lately. What happened to scaring us rather than grossing us out? Would you rather go out to dinner tonight, Cameron asked. Sounds like a plan, Marcy agreed. They left to go to the corner deli, walking arm in arm. So pause the video and add the correct punctuation to the dialogue to make it clear who is speaking when. Alright, when you're done, you can check over what you did with a partner. Yeah. I mean, you should know what to do. Like, obviously, this first part is dialogue. I love going to the movies, Cameron said. And then that's not capitalized, so it's continue. But there's nothing good showing at all. To end that, then Marcy starts a new line. I know, Marcy replied. And that's apparently a continuation because it's not capitalized. It's crazy how many crappy romantic comedies they churn out. Period. Now this is a new sentence. Tell me about it, Cameron exclaimed. Oh, exclaimed. Let's use an exclamation point. And then let's have this be a new idea. If I see one more stupid Kate, so it's still Cameron, so I'm not going to make a new line. If I see one more stupid Kate at Mathematic Puke Fest, I will personally poke my eye out with an ice pick before my own lobotomy. Okay, so that's the end of his idea. So I kind of do a period there because it's the end of the quote and the end of the idea. End of the sentence. Then Marcy's talking. I think that might be a little outrageous, Marcy pointed out, but I can get behind that sentiment. Who do you think is talking there? My big beef, though. Still Marcy, or is it Cameron? Let's make it, I mean, you could do whatever. I don't know the right answer. I'm going to make it Marcy. My big beef, though, is the terrible horror movies lately. What happened to scaring us rather than grossing us out? Well, that seems kind of sudden, yes. So maybe that was Cameron. I don't know. It's just for the sake of this activity. Would you rather go to dinner with me tonight? Cameron asked. Sounds like a plan. Marcy agreed. And that's a sentence. They left to go to the corner deli walking arm in arm. So you could start a new paragraph here, but you don't have to because it's not new dialogue. So like in your own memoir, remember this will be double spaced. So like this looks like this. And these are all new paragraphs. So with dialogue, it makes it easy to write a lot. Alright. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Then part 2, you don't need to go around the room, but add dialogue to the pictures. Do it correctly, punctuate them correctly. Alright, let me know if you have any questions about this.